is the Herdline News.
Well, sticking with the Olympics, Simone Biles withdrew from the women's team gymnastic final today after struggling during her first rotation on the vault. She huddled with her trainer before exiting the floor, and USA Gymnastics announced she would not continue due to a medical issue. She later returned to cheer on her teammates throughout the rest of the competition. Team USA won the silver medal in the event, with the Russian Olympic Committee taking the gold. Biles said afterwards that she wasn't physically injured, but she wasn't in the right headspace to compete and withdrew to protect herself and her mental health. So everyone obviously is talking about this morning. This is a huge deal. She's the most decorated gymnast in American history.
Yeah, she's the greatest I don't know by far, but she's the greatest.
Yeah, she is the GOAT.
You don't have to know gymnastics. You can watch her, and she does stuff nobody else can do.
Yes, yeah, they've tried changing the rules to make it fair to everyone else how skilled she is. I actually don't. It's obviously very shocking news because she is the competitor that she is.
Yeah.
But I think this is the right decision if you're not in the right headspace. You should not be running full speed and launching your body off of a vault if you're not completely locked into the situation. That's literally dangerous.
Well, I think, Twitter will, as is custom, will have no nuance with this. But This is not basketball, football. This is not baseball, where you have a game every day. People train for 8 years for a 90-second routine to perform globally in a sport like ice skating that demands 100% perfection. The fact that we have young men and women, ice skating, gymnastics, that don't, whether you want to call it melting down or anxiety-filled, it's one of those things. I get nervous watching gymnasts on television. I am a ball of nerves watching gymnasts. I'm not being woke here. This is not football or basketball. There's not a game. It's like I'm on the air 3 hours a day. I could have a terrible segment. I get another one. If I trained 8 years for one segment, I'm not built for it. So when I look at this, I think to myself, I'm surprised this doesn't happen. Now, we've seen ice skaters have terrible routines. But these are not my Olympics. These are Simone Biles' Olympics. These are not mine. These are hers. And I'm not going to tell somebody what's going on upstairs. Now we have a layer of social media where nobody says anything nice. Everybody gets attacked, where less successful people troll more successful people. So, as a guy who grew up in a sports culture, part of me looks at it and thinks, you just can't quit. I thought about that driving to work this morning. And then as a dad with a daughter, I think, I don't know how these people do it. I don't know how any of these athletes that train for 10 years for a 90-second routine, how do we not see this regularly?
Yes, and I would add more years to that because generally if you're a gymnast, you're starting extremely young. Extremely young. Ice skaters, extremely young. So you've literally trained for this your entire life.
For a moment.
Now, Simone has had many incredible all-time perfect moments.
Yes.
But yes, there's a lot of pressure on her. The gymnastics in general is a sport where perfection is demanded, and if you don't launch yourself at the exact centimeter that you're supposed to launch, like we've seen horrible injuries in the Olympics and in competition. The gymnasts have had to play through or perform through. So she is not out of the rest of the competitions. She may compete still in the individual competitions.
That's what they said.
But we are sending her all of our support and love. It's a very big conversation. Naomi Osaka started this again with, talking to media just a few weeks ago and was widely criticized for it. And I think, I was talking about it this morning. I do look at sports on a personal level, on a human level.
Right.
And part of that may be how I grew up or playing sports myself or my brother, but I don't consider athletes to be just like these pawns and chips that are moved around. Like there's a whole other human element to sports. And I think that moments like this could be good teaching moments for everyone where really you have to understand to get to a certain level of anything in life, it's more mental than it is physical.
Oh, God. I mean, listen, does everybody remember LeBron melting down against the Mavericks? Literally, the game got into his head. He admitted, I can't be a villain. And LeBron had 4 other opportunities to overcome that moment. If LeBron got 90 seconds to perform, what would the pressure be like? And again, part of me drove to work this morning thinking you can't quit on your team. But then I look at gymnastics, and let's be honest about it. We don't celebrate team success. We celebrate Mary Lou Retton. You know, we celebrate the great individual. When we go to these Olympics, we're talking Carl Lewis, not the USA track team.
Yeah.
This is about the individual, except for like hockey.
And Team USA.
Yes, right. But by and large, I'm not sitting there going, we got to beat Russia. I'm rooting for the individual, right? Like if she wins, she, not the Team USA, she gets the box of Wheaties. She gets the shoe commercial, all that stuff. So part of me was like, oh, how do you let your teammates down? And then part of me thinks this is an individual sport. Let's be realistic about this. This is brutal.
Well, I'm sure she came back to root for her teammates. So I'm sure the team competition matters as much to her as the individual does, because it takes great individual performances to get that team win. But at the end of the day, I always feel like
down with their anti-American nonsense. But we're number one in basketball. Now, individually, there are some great international players. They won a lot of awards this year in the NBA, MVP, and first team All-NBA, and Luka, and sensational. Individually, especially big men. But there is no team close to us. To give you an example, if you took all the other Olympic teams, all of them, their entire roster, they have 2 All-Stars, Rudy Gobert and Luka. Our team has 10. Just our team has 10. We should have won this game. We should have won it rather comfortably. We're poorly coached and poorly designed and constructed. I've been saying this forever on Greg Popovich. He's a bully. He's what he despises. He makes stuff up. He doesn't listen to facts. He constantly projects at the podium. Sounds like a politician he didn't like much and often criticized publicly. He's become him, making crap up to suit his argument. Nobody thought we were going to beat France by 30. No reasonable person did. In fact, Joy was on the show. I predicted America would win the silver medal last week. That's what I said. They'll win the silver medal. Perhaps I was a bit optimistic, but I still think they'll get to the championship game. We have the most basketball talent, and it's not really that close. Individually, especially with big men, the world is doing a remarkable job to get better. There are several reasons why we lost. Again, I don't think this is a terribly well-constructed team, but our season just ended. Some of the guys on this roster literally were in a championship parade, got in a plane, flew to Tokyo, took a nap, got up and played. Secondly is our players now make so much money with basketball and shoe deals and social media. How invested are they? Number 3, a lot of top players opt out. A lot of our best NBA players are veterans who have been on Olympic teams before and just don't want to do it again. We had a pandemic, and then we had a condensed season, and they want rest. They just don't want to play right now, and I don't blame them. But let's stop with the excuses, Greg Popovich. Nobody that's reasonable thought we should beat France by 30. Most people, myself included, thought it would be competitive. The line was 11.5. That seemed 9, 10, 11 reasonable. This feels like a coach